Hey everybody, welcome to our second ever office hours. I'm really excited that we have so many people attending these. In a smaller group setting, it's really cool for myself as well as my colleague Maura, who's on here, who's going to be manning the chat, to just get to hear from you guys, get to have your questions answered, just to make sure that we are setting you up for success in Edgar. So I know some of you did submit questions ahead of time, so we're definitely going to go ahead and get those answered. But what I'm going to do to start out today is, for anyone new to Edgar, I'm going to run through a super simple onboarding process of just taking 4 simple steps to get Edgar up and running so we can get that first post out to you, get you to that first win, and make sure that you are starting to learn the system, freeing up your time to actually create more posts to add to Edgar at a later date. So we're going to start out with that, but I promise I'll get to those submitted questions after that shortly here. Over on the right side of your screen, there is a little chat box there. So definitely pop on in there now, say hi, let me know who's here. Maura will also be watching that. So if I'm like sharing my screen, I can't see that chat box, but she'll be checking in on that. But I'll definitely come back and look at this during and after to do more Q&A. So keep your questions flowing through there. So it is 1 o'clock here in Denver, Colorado, which means we are officially in office hours. So I am going to start sharing my screen now. But definitely pop on over there. Make sure you drop in your questions throughout this. If we don't get to them, ask it again at the end, but we should be able to keep up with all of this. So like I said, super quick, just going to get started here by introducing how you can get up and running with Edgar. And this link that, before I share my screen here, I'm going to pop into this chat box. This is our getting started guide in our help center as well. So if you need more kind of step-by-step processes, that resource is a gem. So check that out for sure. But as we go through here, if you are new to Edgar, what I want you to do is take the basic steps of getting this started today, because you're never more motivated to do something except for when you've learned it right now. So after you do this, you can open up an Edgar tab and follow along here. The first thing you're going to do is hook up your social media accounts under this accounts tab here. Super simple. Click on the rectangle of the program you'd like to hook up or the network you want to hook up. Edgar will grab that username and password, and it will look like one of these rectangles here. And that way you have your social media accounts that you want Edgar to post to all hooked up for you. The categories tab, this is how Edgar posts and organizes your library. So take some time to think about the buckets of posts that you want to send out to your followers throughout the day and throughout the week. And take some time to name these so they make sense to you, because when you're adding and scheduling content, we want you to do it so that you can send out a variety of different types of posts to your followers, because no one wants to follow a feed that's just promotion after promotion. You want to get that really great brand awareness out there. You want to get those really great educational and entertaining posts. So the predetermined categories in Edgar, if you don't like the names of those, simply click on this pencil icon to rename them, or click this add new category button here to create your own categories. And again, when you're creating these, make sure you think about the types of posts you want to send out to your followers. Once you get your categories created, let's start loading your posts into Edgar. So click this add new content button up here, and this is where you're going to go ahead and construct your social media posts. So come on in here and go ahead and check off the accounts you'd like this post to go out to over here on the left. This is giving permission for this post to go to these networks. So if something over here is not checked off, Edgar's never going to send it there. So make sure that you're setting those permissions up. Use this category drop down to select the type of post that this is here, and go ahead and construct your post in this area. So the update is going to be written here. If you wanted to add your own photo or your own video from the computer, you can use these little icons in the lower left corner here to upload your own photo or to upload your own video. If you wanted to do something like see what the post is going to look like once it's sent to the network, if you have a URL in here, this little preview tab right up here, if you click on it, will show you like what that Facebook preview is going to look like. Or if you wanted to see like if you have Twitter cards installed, just simply use that drop-down menu there. You'll also see that you can, if you wanted to use short links in Edgar, you have this little short link toggle here, and this will allow you to do things like track clicks. So ed.gr is our own short link shortener. So if you put a full URL in here and you save it to your library, Edgar will automatically shorten it so we can track the amount of engagement and the amount of click-through those are getting. If you'd prefer to use your own Bitly or Rebrandly account, you can always come up to your Edgar settings right up here, and you can always hook up your own Bitly or Rebrandly account by clicking on this change button here. So once you save a post to your library, the library is essentially just a catalog of all your posts. Everything you add to Edgar is always going to remain in this library. You can always come in and edit it. You can delete it if you decide you don't want to reshare it, but it's a great way to keep things organized. You can filter the library with these filters over here on the left, or you can search for posts with this up here. Once you have content in the library, nothing is actually going to send out from Edgar until you go in and set up your schedule. So the schedule here is a weekly repeating view, and this is where the true power of Edgar comes into play, where you can create consistency for your followers and do that great set it and forget it, so you can then spend the time on social media engaging with your followers. So when you come to your schedule, locate where you want to send out a post. So say Tuesdays at 8 a.m., I'd like to send out a post. I'm going to click into that area. So I simply click right there, and I'm asked for the details for this time slot. So I'm going to go ahead and check off the accounts I want this time slot to go out to. So we always recommend at Edgar making sure you're amplifying your content by cross-posting it to as many networks as possible. You're putting in the hard work of all that content, so let's make sure it gets out there to your followers so they can consume it where they hang out. You can always alter the day and time up here, and then you're going to select a category, so the type of post that you'd like to send out at this time, and you're going to click on Save. So that is now going to be a time slot on your schedule. How these time slots actually work with the library is what we call a last in, first out order. So Edgar's going to be going along here. He'll hit this time slot. The most recent post you added to that time slot in the that category in the library will be the first post that sends out to the networks attached. It'll then be put to the end of the line in that category, and Edgar will move along. Next time he hits that time slot, he'll send the next update out, put it to the end of the line, and move along. He's going to work his way through all of the content in your library. Once he reaches the bottom and there's no new content in that library, in that category in the library, he's going to start from the top again, resurfacing your older posts for your new followers to see, as well as those who didn't see it the first time to have that opportunity to engage with. So as he's going along here, you want to be thinking about it, knowing how often things are going to repeat in this evergreen posting strategy is all dependent upon how many posts you have in that category in the library versus how many times you place it on your schedule. So let's take some easy math here. Say you have 10 posts in your blog category in the library, and you put that on your schedule once. You'll know it'll take 10 weeks before Edgar starts recycling through that content. If you place that category time slot on your schedule twice, you'll know it'll take 5 weeks before Edgar recycles through that content. If you're continuously adding new content, Edgar will always favor that newest content before he goes in and posts the older content again. So a lot of people will slowly start building up categories in their library, and you can always start out with fewer time slots on your schedule. Once you have your library built up a little, pop on in here and start adding a variety of time slots, thinking about people's consumption habits. So putting some in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening. So you make sure every one of your followers, no matter how and when they're consuming social media, gets a variety of your content to get to know your brand in a holistic view. So how do you know what's going out? Great question. That's going to be in the Queue tab here, guys. So the Queue tab, that's kind of sandwiched between the library and the schedule. This is going to be what is being pulled from the library based on the time slots on your schedule. So you can see it'll give you the date. It'll give you the post that's going out here. If you wanted to see what you have going to a certain account, you can always use these filters on the left. The queue can also be paused. If you ever wanted to stop automation, just pause your queue. You can always unpause it again in the future. You can use this little fast forward button here to skip a post, which will put it to the end of the line in the category and pull in the next post. So guys, that is the simplest way to get started in Edgar. We have a lot of other features that I can kind of go over as we're getting started here, but I wanted to start out with that just so that if you are new, you know you can get started with as little time as adding, say, 10 posts to each category in your library. put that category on your schedule twice, and you know you have a whole month of fresh content ready to go out, so you can take your time slowly building the library, creating new valuable content, and really getting in front of the people who matter when. So I'm going to pop right back in to our chat section here and go ahead and take a peek, make sure that we're in over everything. So Joe, Michael, Chris, awesome. It looks like Maura has that taken care of. So I'm going to go into some of the pre-submitted questions, share my screen again, but definitely pop in more questions. I'll check back in a minute. One of the questions that was submitted is about how you make sure that you differentiate between Instagram posts for Facebook with the link in bio terminology versus posting real links to like Facebook and Twitter. So there's a few things you can do here. Obviously on Instagram, no link is clickable unless it's in that little bio section. So what you can do, and what we actually do here at Edgar, is we've made a separate category for our Instagram posts. So you can see here in MeetEdgar in our categories tab, we've created this IG notation at the beginning of the category title. So when you click to add a new category, make sure you put IG in it or something that makes sense, so it's super nailed down on where this content is going out. And that way, when we're creating our content for the network specific message, when we click to add new content here, you can always go on in and select that IG category here, only select Instagram. Make sure you're going ahead and saying, hey, check out our latest blog post, the link's in the bio. Do anything that you can to make that visual image really eye-capturing, because it's all about stopping people scroll with that really awesome image. And then going in there and scheduling those time slots related to that category. When you come to your schedule here, make sure that you're coming in and you are actually attaching that category just to Instagram over here as well. And then you could have another category for your blog posts that are cross-posting to Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn that have the actual link in it. Now, guys, one of our newest features that actually can be super helpful for Instagram blog posting is our media scraper. So if you have a blog post in here, this is one of MeetEdgar's, but obviously it could be your own blog post. You'll notice that you also have the ability to go ahead and add images to it. You have the ability to go ahead and remove this link preview here and attach a photo. So if you remove that link preview there, you'll notice that Edgar goes ahead and, sorry, I attached that to Facebook, but if you put the URL in here and you go ahead and you attach it to Instagram, you'll notice Edgar will pull out all of the images that are within that blog post. So this is a great way to put your URL in here. Go ahead and click add on one of these images. And this image is going to be the one that's sent with this posting to Instagram. So it's a huge time saver if you don't have a lot of time to create your own graphics. Of course, I always want to suggest that you take the time to make the most engaging content, to make sure that everything makes sense with the language you're using and it provides that consistency for your followers. But for Instagram blog posts specifically, as you were asking about that, guys, make sure you take advantage of our media scraper to add your images, because anything going to Instagram does have to have an image or a video attached. Let's see here. The next question that we had about was reach. So reach is something that we all really want to make sure that we're getting. And there is so much out there these days, whether it's depending upon things like niching down to make sure you are embodying the spirit of your persona, of who your person is that you're talking to. And that's what's going to get you the most reach, is that message is going to need to resonate with your followers the most. Now, in MeetEdgar, there are a couple of things you can do to really up-level the amount of reach that you're getting, and that is to play into the algorithm and what they love. Your biggest algorithm buster these days, to make sure your posts are getting in front of your followers, is making sure every post gets engagement. So I want you to create categories like questions, to ask your questions followers, to ask your followers questions. I want you to share your personal story, and I want you to get really personal with people to get that engagement and to get people talking to you. Then come to your history tab here in Edgar. So the history is just a record of everything Edgar has sent out, and you can go ahead and use this all-time clicks header. And if you click on this all-time clicks header here, it's going to sort your posts to show you the posts with the most clicks down to the least clicks. And you can start to see the type of language that you've been using, the types of categories that people are clicking on the most, to really get in the head of your followers, to really see what they're liking, what they're engaging with. And that's going to produce more reach for you if you're creating more content in those categories. If you're putting those categories on your schedule more, it's not that complicated. You just want to find those bright spots and really start to recreate content that's driving that engagement. So anything that can get more comments, shares, comments between people on Instagram and Facebook. Remember, Facebook owns Instagram, so those algorithms are pretty similar, the better. So I always suggest at the end of your day too, coming into the history tab here, you can click on the arrow next to the date stamp here, and that'll take you to the post right on the network. So take maybe 5 minutes at the end of your day, click on that arrow for each of your posts, make sure there's nothing you need to engage with, respond to, even consider adding another comment to your post, even if no one has, because that'll re-engage that post and make it more likely that your followers will see it in their newsfeed. So definitely take advantage of that when you're thinking about posts. And the reach. I'm also going to go ahead and share a link here that is really awesome about Facebook reach and about Twitter reach that we have in our help center. So if you guys are working on reach, check out those resources that I just dropped in there now too. So one other question that we did have was how you make sure that you're, what was it? Is there any way to prevent Edgar from reposting content added to the library before a specific date? That's right. So Edgar, like I said, the true power comes into play with that set it and forget it weekly repeating schedule. However, Edgar does have some features that allow you to put what we can consider a start date and an end date on it. And that's going to be on the post level itself. So when you click to add content to Edgar, I want you to go ahead and look at the advanced settings and the arrow next to the save to library button. So I click to add content here. I go ahead and place it into a category. I go ahead and write my update here. This advanced settings drop-down menu here. If you click advanced settings, you can do one of two things. You can mark a post as used once, which means once Edgar sends it out once, he's automatically going to retire it, not to use it again. So really great if you're having like curated content from other people's blogs that you just want to provide that to your followers once to add value, but you don't necessarily want to repeat it like your blog posts that are driving traffic to your specific site. So a lot of people will use once for curated content. You can also expire content in Edgar under the advanced settings. So under the advanced settings, if you put a day and time in here, Edgar is going to go ahead and rotate through that content based on the schedule in that last in, first out order until this day and time is reached, at which point he'll take it out of the rotation and he won't use it again. It'll still live in your library, so you can always find it again with our keyword search box or with that use once filter, and you can always reactivate it if you wanted to. But this is really great if you have something in a blog article that maybe just doesn't make sense to share in 6 months or something. Make sure you go ahead and put that in. Back to the original question on if you can put a start date on it, that's also going to be in this add to content screen here. This little drop down arrow will have a send now and save feature. If you click send now and save, it's going to send this update a minute after you click send now and save. And then it's going to put it to the end of the line in the category that you've assigned it to, and it'll go back into your normal rotation. Or you can click send now and save and have use once marked off. So if you find an article that you just want to blast out to all of your networks at once, but don't want to spend the time actually logging into each of them, you're going to go ahead and do send now and save, use once, and it'll send out to all of these networks here. Schedule, send, and save here is going to allow you to put in the days and times that you'd like this content to go out. So if this is populated, Edgar holds the post out of the rotation. So the very first time that Edgar goes ahead and posts this is going to be when this day and time here is reached. So it's essentially like putting a start date on it. Once he sends it out on this day and time, what's going to happen is he's going to put it to the end of the line in whatever category you've assigned it to, and it'll go back into the normal rotation. So you'd use this feature if you wanted to schedule like a blog post that hasn't gone live on your blog yet, but you wanted to make sure you get it into Edgar and it sends out on a specific day and time. You could go ahead and grab that URL that it's going to be published under, put it in here, and use this schedule, send, and save to make sure it goes out once it's live. Or you can use this for holiday posts. So go ahead and click schedule, send, and save. Go ahead and upload all of your content into the schedule, send, and save for all your holiday posts, like your New Year's posts, like your Happy Mother's Day posts. So then on those holidays, you'll know you can go ahead and get that content out there, but it's not going to go in and make you post on the holiday yourself. Make sure you have use once checked off and you're good to go. You can also think about creating a holiday category as like an extra foolproof thing to do. So I always suggest in your categories, thinking about, creating one that's like special updates or special holidays. And remember, guys, if you leave that category off of your schedule completely, none of that content is going to send out. So you could assign your holiday post to the holiday category. If you're creating a holiday category or a holding category or something like that, just make sure you're unchecking this include when selecting random content to post checkbox, because if you create a random time slot on your schedule, it's going to go ahead and grab posts from any category, regardless of the category. So if you have one that's more for like holiday specific ones, just uncheck this box here. And that way, again, if you're scheduling out with the schedule, send, and save option with those holiday posts, if that category is not on your schedule, if you forget to check off use once, those posts still aren't going to go out because that category is not scheduled. Cool. So definitely take advantage of those sort of more honing in features. But as you're getting started, like I said, your easiest thing to do for that set it and forget it is to load your content into the library, get those time slots on your schedule, and then kind of hone in on the different days and times throughout the year that you're going to send those holiday posts after that. So I'm going to go ahead and pop on back in here. It looks like we are talking about importing. How do I pull my blog content again? All right, Samantha. So Samantha is referring to our RSS feed feature, which is fantastic if you have a blog or if you have content from other people's blogs that you'd like to send in, because what that's going to go ahead and do is automatically pull in your content. So if you haven't checked it out yet, in this import tab right here, you can add RSS feeds to Edgar. All you're going to do to add an RSS feed is go ahead and select the URL in here, click on Find RSS Feed. You're going to go ahead and select the type of post or the category that you'd like it to go into. So you could create a category and call it My Blog Posts, or if you like to curate content from some of your followers' favorite blogs that are relevant to them, you could call it curated content. Go ahead and click on the type of category these posts should be put into. Check off the accounts these posts have permission to go out to. Then you have the choice to either send these into a pending content queue, which will allow for an approval process, or you can send them directly to your library. So if this is your blog and you know every single update is going to be relevant, go ahead and send it directly to your library. If it's a pending content queue, this allows for an approval process. So I like to suggest pending for curated content so you can approve and reject the post based on the value they'll add to your followers. So Samantha, for you specifically, you can always re-import your blog. So what's going to happen, guys, is Edgar checks any of these feeds that you've added every 24 hours. So you can always find the feeds you've added by clicking Import, Manage RSS Feeds. So go to this tab here. So these are all of the RSS feeds we have added. If I wanted to go in and import it beyond, between that 24-hour check that Edgar does automatically, I'm going to go to this drop-down arrow right here, and I'm going to click Import Now. So importing now will have Edgar check to see if there's any new blog posts that are not in the library from this feed. And if they are, he'll automatically bring it in either to the library or to the pending content queue based upon how you have that set up. So a lot of people, if you initially import your RSS feeds into Edgar, most modern feeds come with about 10 to 25 blog posts attached to them. But if it's your own blog, like you have that WordPress or that Wix site, you can up that level in your settings. If you do that after you add the feed here to Edgar, this is great to come back in here, click Import Now, and it'll bring those posts over. So in the library here, guys, your pending content queue is also going to be in the library. And you'll notice we have this little 6 above the pending content tab here. And this will allow me to come into the pending content section. Nothing from pending is ever going to send out until I approve it into the library. I can reject it in order to say, you know what, nope, this isn't going to add value for my followers. or I can edit it if I wanted to add in any of my own commentary or anything like that. If you do reject content, it'll always be stored in this rejected content section. So if you accidentally do it, go ahead and come in here and you can approve it. Don't delete anything from rejected content that you truly want rejected, because that's the way Edgar keeps a record so he doesn't re-pull it in from their RSS feed. So if you're looking for old content, come to rejected, but if it's truly rejected, leave it in rejected content here. This is a great kind of workflow I like to recommend too, is in the pending content queue. If you click edit on the posts, we definitely encourage you to make these a little more personal, put some sort of personality behind it here. And with Twitter specifically, we share a lot of curated articles on Twitter just because it is such a news sharing platform. But Twitter does have a term of service that says you can't send the same tweet to the same Twitter account more than once anymore. So for this reason, if you have blog content that's from your blog, or if you wanted to reshare curated content being brought over from the RSS feed, or if you manually add this, come on in here and make sure you're clicking on this manually add variation or auto generate variations button. So what's going to happen here is when you click to manually add a variation, a second text box is going to pop up where I'm able to go in and alter the language I'm using to introduce this link. So I can do something like use a different headline, use a different question, go ahead and share a different thought leadership about it. Edgar does have to retire every variation when he sends it to Twitter. You can use these variations for other networks as well if you wanted to add in a little bit more authenticity when you're resharing your links, or just a little more variety. He doesn't have to retire them for Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, just for Twitter. And then every time this whole post is up in the rotation of your post based on your schedule, Edgar will share a variation, then retire it. The next time this whole post is up in the rotation, he'll share the next variation, then retire it for Twitter. So it's always useful to come in here and go ahead and add a bunch of variations in as you're getting started, so you know he'll kind of set it and forget it that way. One of the coolest things about the variations feature here is this auto generate variations button. So if you click to auto generate variations, what's going to happen is Edgar will get different pull quotes from within that article to add here. And these will be served as a really quick way to make sure that your blog content has a bunch of variations to go out to Twitter. If you are manually adding variations, guys, make sure you put the URL in each variation text box. If you auto-generate it, it's already put in there for you, but just keep that in mind here. If you are having Twitter cards on the site, you don't have to add an image because that link will share out to Twitter with a Twitter card. That's a clickable preview. But again, with the media scraper down here, you can always click add to add an image. If you add an image to variation post, that same image is going to send out with each variation. So just keep that in mind as well. So good question on the RSS feeds. This import tab up here will also allow you to do things like import a spreadsheet of content. So if you have a lot of content that's really great for spreadsheet imports, you can go ahead and click on this little hyperlink here to see an example spreadsheet. But essentially, super simple setup. The first column is going to be the status update. The second column is going to be the category you'd like it to go into in your library. Upon uploading that spreadsheet, Edgar will go ahead and prompt you for the account connections. One last thing about adding content that can be really helpful is if you like to curate content or you wanted to add specific blogs from your site, make sure you download the MeetEdgar extension. I'll pop it into the chat here in a second, but let's take an example look here. This is our blog, but this could be something you found out online that you want to share out or add into your Edgar library. In my browser here, I have this little MeetEdgar icon that I can click. Clicking this will go ahead and bring me to the add new content screen where I'm able to check off the account connections that I'd like this to go out to, select the category that I'd like it to be put into in the library, and you can see that Edgar already pre-populates the headline here with the link. You can click on Save to Library, and that puts it in the library. That will be seen as the last post that was added to that category in your library. So it'll be the first post to go out when Edgar hits that category on your schedule. Or if this is a post that you just want to share out right away because it's a trending news topic, remember you also have access to that Send Now and Save. So you can come to a blog article, click Send Now and Save, and know it's going to go out to every single one of your social media networks. And you can then always mark it as a use once post as well if you only wanted to blast it out once. So this extension is really fantastic. Like I said, I'll go ahead and grab that and make sure that you guys download that if you do like to curate content there. Yeah, if we didn't answer your question properly in the chat, support@meetedgar.com, like Mara said, definitely reach out. We're more than happy to get that going as well. Cool. Is there anything else that I missed, guys? Pop your questions in if you're working on a specific feature or if you have questions about the setup there. I am more than happy to get those answered. Here's where you can download the extension if you are interested. It looks like we've got, so those were all the pre-submitted questions that were answered there. But like I said, if I missed anything in the chat here, let me know. Let's see, Julie, what's the easiest way to post text with images that are optimized for each platform? For example, if I have an image plus 3 variation text for Facebook, is there a shortcut to have some variations with an image optimized for Twitter? Cool. So Edgar doesn't do any resizing of your images when you add them to the library. So if you have an image that you really need to meet the specifications of that social network, I suggest going in there and actually creating categories for each of them. So like we were speaking to on that Instagram example, go to your categories tab and make like a quote images or whatever you're going to call it, images for Twitter, images for Facebook, stuff like that. So you can add the proper size guide there. Let me go ahead and grab you our image sizing here. Let's see, MeetEdgar. This will help you to go ahead and see the best sizing for each network if that is something that's going to be important to you, but you do have to then add it per network when you click to add content. This is also a really great thing that you can do in order to make sure that you're going in and posting things out at the time your audience is online in each network. So going into your Facebook insights and your Twitter analytics and seeing if your audience is online at different times on either of those will allow you to do things like schedule those specific categories that you have those images sized for at the times of day your followers are online then. Because remember, guys, we don't want to post when we're online. We want to post when our followers are online. So creating network-specific categories can be helpful in that way. But I also want you to consider that most images you create will work on each network. It looks like Maury here is giving a really great example that we actually cross-post the same image to each network, and it works totally well. And remember, guys, the power of Edgar for that sort of cross-posting benefit is really fantastic. I'm also going to share, let's see, same size. This is my favorite. This is my favorite blog post here that gives a really fantastic guide of how you go ahead and create an image that has like the padding on the outside of it that works perfectly for each network. It's kind of halfway down the page right here, Julie. If you take a look at this blog here, they give a really good sizing that works for each network. And I do truly recommend that's probably your biggest time saver. But if you know your followers are online at different times, go ahead and maybe create those network specific categories so you can get the most reach out of your posts that way. But Edgar doesn't do any resizing, so do make sure you do that. Let's see. If I missed anything else, Samantha. Okay, looks like that's all the questions in the chat, guys. Do you have any other questions about setting up Edgar? I know I talk kind of fast too, so definitely if you want me to go over another feature, let me know in the chat there. I'm more than happy to pop in and do that. Again, as you're getting set up, if you are new to Edgar, let's just focus on getting at least 10 posts into each category you set up and get that category on your schedule at least twice. Thinking about people's consumption habits again, make sure you're placing those category specific time slots on that weekly repeating schedule, some in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening, so that people can get a variety of posts from you. Take time to look at your history tab. Take time to go ahead and see the engagement that you're getting on the posts so you don't have to reinvent the wheel and you don't have to guess about the types of content that you should be creating. but that you can really speak right into the time that your followers are online and right into the type of content that truly does resonate with people. So you can really incentivize people to want to go to your page, to want to really make sure that they're connecting with a true human and getting that sort of behind the scenes content in there. Questions, all of that fun stuff is a really great way to stand out from your competition on social media. Other category ideas you can do is like social proof testimonials. Think about how you can make people feel like your product is the one to take someone from where they are, their pain points, how your product can solve it, to what they want to be able to accomplish after having your product or service. So it's all about categorizing in a way that's going to speak to your followers and putting those categories on the schedule. So I'm not seeing any other questions pop on in here. So this replay, I'll go ahead and send it out to all of you guys, but email me back if you do think of something at all. There's a lot of different things that you can do in Edgar and a lot of different flexibility that you can have for things like your reach that we were talking about, for things like your to optimize your content and know what posts are really driving the most traffic. So if you have questions more about that, let us know. Again, in your settings here, make sure that you do set up your preferred link shortener. We do have UTM parameters that can be automatically added to your account to track where the traffic is coming from. If you haven't set Google Analytics up on your website yet, I wholeheartedly recommend doing so you can make sure you're starting to collect that data. Because if you don't have Google Analytics set up, you can't get the past data on it. So do that sooner rather than later if you are going to use our UTM parameters. Again, in this little drop-down menu where we went to our settings is also where you can get to our help center. And this is a really awesome resource, not only for every single section of Edgar, but we also give a lot of different strategy tips on how best to repurpose evergreen content to make sure you're following that all-important write once, promote twice mindset that can get the most value out of your content. All right, guys, I'm going to stay on for 2 more minutes here. If you have a question, get it into the chat now. We are doing office hours every single day that we can here. So check back at that link. If you do want to ever get your questions answered live here, you can schedule every day if you want. That link that you scheduled that before, I'll pop it into the chat here as well. Definitely feel free to go ahead and come back, ask your questions as you're getting set up. Make sure you get all of that really fun feedback going on. If you do have feedback about these sort of office hours, or if you do come to a content batching party with Edgar at all, I definitely recommend that you let us know how these are going, because guys, if you don't let us know your feedback, we can't improve for you. So go ahead and fill out that form that I just dropped into the chat if you do have any feedback for us, or email support@meetedgar.com. If you have any feature requests or anything like that for our product team, you know how much we like to hear from you on all different fronts. These will come right to us, and we share them with our product manager, Kevin, to make sure that we are building features to help our MeetEdgar customers the most. So definitely submit those. Some really exciting upcoming things that we do have going on is going to be the addition of Pinterest. So definitely keep an eye out for that. We'll let you know on our updates blog, of course, send you emails. Guys, it doesn't look like anyone else is putting any questions in, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, but definitely come back to office hours if you do have more, or definitely fill out that survey form so we can make sure that these are providing the most value possible for you guys. Thanks so much for showing up. Email support@meetedgar.com with additional questions, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Bye, guys.